So what do you find, because you've been to these different, you've been in water all over the world. What do you notice similar and different about the ecosystems where you go?
It's something that I've just recently been realizing as an adult from 20 years old and up. Like I said, I'm ancient. I'm 27 now. Okay. My knees are
Mhm.
hurting. It's cold outside and I get aches in my back. And I've noticed that life is such a pattern everywhere you go. It's so simplistic, just as I'm sure a civil engineer would look at a bridge and say, I can clearly see the schematics in my brain on how this would work, where its low points are, what the angles are, the physics of it. I can look at an ecosystem and be like, hey, that's the lower end of the tropics, and really break down what an ecosystem is in that area, just because, I've studied it my whole life now. And so when I go to different places, I just look for those patterns again. Well, what's on
Mm.
the lowest trophic, level? Oh, it's this plankton. Oh, this is the predator around here. Just as if you were to go hiking, you would
Yeah.
know the biggest thing that could eat me out here is a black bear. Like you do it unconsciously. Everyone does
Yeah.
when they enter a new situation. You look at a desert, you don't think there's anything there, but there's vegetation everywhere.
Hmm.
What are the mammals? It's so interesting to me seeing how animals and plants adapt to our climate wherever you go,
Yeah.
and how we're throwing curveballs about climate change out there, and they're still adapting. Right now, interesting enough, small tangent, but Garbage Island, obviously off the Pacific, the floating garbage Texas size island.
Yeah,
There,
I'm aware of it.
yeah, I've never been, but I hear it's beautiful in the summers. A paper just came out about how animals are adapting to the plastics out there, and about
Really?
how removing some of the island might be detrimental to these species now.
Really?
Isn't that crazy that they have adapted to such a degree that some of their survival is dependent now on this anthropogenic situation we put them in?
So how do humans deal with that?
You know what? Another mystery. 12 a.m. now we're at, Rich. See, these are the things that just go through my mind as I'm laying there by myself, alone, in my twin size bed. Text me back, please. So it's really an interesting thought, because and it's not that far off of what you and I experience every day with squirrels and raccoons. I'm not sure about Chicago because I'm sure it's cold. Where I am, it's the tropics of Canada is what they coined it as. So we have no snow. It was like 10 degrees today, kind of thing. But what I'm getting at is raccoons and squirrels and deer to a degree are dependent now on urban environments to survive.
Yeah.
Why is it any different for fish?
Yeah.
And so these are the questions that scientists are asking themselves now. How do we deal with it? We've made such a mess of the ocean with these plastics, and those are the plastics we can see,
Yeah.
right? There's invisible ones, as I'm sure microplastics are huge right now
Mhm.
with shipping and all that kind of stuff, and those are accumulated in the flesh of these animals
Yeah.
and going right back down into our stomachs. And so how are they adapting? How are they just not dying? These are all the questions we have to ask ourselves and adapt to.
How can you relate concepts you learn in nature and marine biology to your own life?
Ooh, that's a really interesting question. That's a good one. Marine biology is super simplistic in the fact that fish are pretty. They're very colorful. People like colorful. Like just as people look at birds, very colorful. Oh, there's an eagle kind of thing, right? And for marine biology to relate that to my life is just you gotta slow down to see the pretty things. If you keep looking so big and what's the next job? What's really glamorized on social media even? You
Yeah.
gotta look micro. You gotta look really small down, and you'll see some amazing things. You really will if you just stop and look. When I was a child, or I should say when I was 6 or 7, I would take out my snorkel gear in Cayman and go down to the beach area there, and I would spend hours on one head of coral, looking at all these baby fish that are just looking out, and then going back in because they see this giant human. I was an 8-year-old. I was probably like 5 feet, giant.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting seeing the animal behavior just by stopping for a second. Don't go to the wreck. Don't go to the wall. Go to this small coral head and just take your time and really look at what it is. Same as a tree. You look at
Mhm.
a tree, it's not just a tree. There's insects all around it. Oh, there's a bird's nest even. Oh,
Yeah.
wonder what kind of bird that is. It's just slowing down is what I take from marine biology
Slowing
into
down.
my life.